Learning English with English faculties.
All right, so we'll start with the session and we will be covering IELTS academic. Uh, IELTS academic is a test. This test is about 35 years old. So they have perfected this test up to 99%. So this actually tests your skill in four verticals. That is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And they've almost perfected it. So it is one of the most repeated tests for your English proficiency. And it is not a gateway. A lot of times people think that this is a gateway to travel overseas. It is not a gateway. This is more or less like a barrier, the wall that keeps you out of the country. So you need to know, you need to learn how to clear this. You could be very good in English, but since this tests you on different verticals, you will have to practice and you will have to train yourself so that you get at par with what they're looking for. Now, this test, like any other proficiency tests, is or has two verticals: the responsive skill and the creative skill, right? And in responsive skill, you get your listening, okay, and you get your reading. This is called responsive skill because you have something to speak about, you have something to read about, and then you have to answer. Or you have something to listen to, you listen to something, and then you answer to that. So it is called responsive. You respond to the prompt that is given to you. Creative skill, on the other hand, is writing and speaking. Right? Now, this is the difficult part of the test because in here, you have to actually create something. You have to create the language from your end. This test is the total duration of the test is 2 hours and 45 minutes. Right? 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now, your listening section is for approximately 30 minutes. Right? Your reading is approximately for 60 minutes. Your writing is for 60 minutes. And your speaking is for approximately 15 minutes. So that makes it about 2 hours and 45 minutes. This is the continuous test. That means you will not get the break in between. You might get a washroom break in between, but not between the modules. So it's not like you are doing something, writing, and then you can go out. You cannot do that. So you have to be prepared. You need to mentally prepare yourself to ensure that you do this test well right from the beginning. Okay? Now, your listening, as in, when I say listening, I'm talking about academic listening. All right? Academic listening has 4 parts, right? And each part has got 10 questions. Each part has got 10 questions. And it is is a recorded version. It could be any accent. It could be an American accent. It could be a British accent. It could be an Australian accent. It could be anything. And the part one and two of listening deals with everyday social situations. And in this is usually a conversation between two speakers. So this is a conversation between two peoples, all right? It could be a travel arrangement. It could be a vacation arrangement. Um, it could be anything, right? In part two, this is between two people. And part two, this is always one person speaking. So this is a monologue. Right? Okay. Now, part three and four, right? It deals with educational and training situations. Educational and training, right? This is usually about education and training. Part three has two people in conversation. Okay. And part four has the first part, third part is one person speaking, right? And this is usually speaking, and this is usually about an academic subject. Okay.
Okay.
The time allowed for this is 30 minutes. And 10 minutes they will give you to transfer your answers to an answer sheet, right? Okay. And you will have 40 questions all in all. Okay. Now, what kind of questions do you get? You will get MCQs, multiple choice questions. You will get matching. Okay. You have to match one to another. Then you will have probably a plan. Or you will have a map or a diagram, right? The next one is probably a form, a table, or a flow chart, or summary. Okay. And the fifth type of question in here is sentence completion. All right. And the last one is a short answer. So this is everything that you will get in the listening section of IELTS. Okay.
Okay.
Now, coming to the reading part, what all does reading has? This is clear? Any questions?
No. All good
No.
so far.
Okay, so reading is again for 60 minutes. That's 1 hour, right? Usually, the reading section comes from magazines, journals, newspapers, a lot of online resources, or things that are written by non-specialists. Uh, Usually, the topic that you will get since you are going in for an academic is of student interest. Okay. Usually, it is about student interest. Now, you have three sections. Okay.
Okay.
That means three texts that you have to read. And the total number of words can be anywhere between 2,250 to 3,000 words. Okay? It's pretty big. It is complicated. It's not simple. It is big. It is complicated. Okay, and you have 40 questions and this as well. Okay.
Okay. So this is all including the three sections, or
Yes.
is it individual? Okay.
All together. All together. We will have each question is 1 mark. Marks. Right? Okay. And we are given a band score in between 1 to 9 band. Okay. What are the kind of questions that you get in this? You get multiple choice, as in the listening part. Then you get something new in here, which is called identifying information.
Okay.
Right? And if you want to put this on an easier term, this is true, false, or not given.
Okay.
True, false, or not given. This is not as simple as it sounds. It is complicated because a lot of times you'll not be able to ascertain whether it is a true statement or it's a not given statement. It's easy to find out the false one. The complications come between true and not given. So it takes some skill to do this. Okay.
Okay.
Then the next kind of question that you get when here is identifying writer's view. Identifying the writer's view or author's view. Right? Then you have matching information. Okay. Then you have matching headings. Okay.
Okay.
Then you have matching sentence endings. S. Right? Then you have sentence completion. All right. Then you have summary. These are the different kinds of questions that you get. It could be summary, it could be a table, it could be a flow chart. Okay, it could be anything. Okay. Then you have something called a diagram label completion. All right. And the last one is short answer questions. All right. This is everything about your reading section. academic reading section. All right. Now,
Okay.
post academic reading, you have your writing section. Now, this is a little complicated because when we speak, we usually speak in colloquial English, right? Day to day
Right.
English. But when you're writing,
So sorry to stop. So sorry to stop you right there. Uh, in the reading section, like the kind of question you mentioned that there's something called identifying a writer's view.
Mhm.
What do we do
Identifying writer's
exactly?
view is whether it is there or not. It's more like true, false, and not given. Okay, what
Okay.
is the writer's
Okay.
view? They don't ask you the direct question. They will have something, and then they will paraphrase it. Let's say they're saying, I've got a very bad headache." Right? It could be paraphrased as, "The writer feels severe headache." Okay, so they will
Oh,
try
okay.
to see if you
Okay.
understand the difference between very bad and severe. So it is matched on that parameter. It's more like
Oh,
not true, false, not given.
oh, got
Okay. So we'll come to the writing. All right. Now, in IELTS writing, you have got two tasks. That is task one and then task two. In task one, you have to do something called describing some visual information. All right. In your own words or in your own words. So you describe, usually this is a graph or a chart, um, or a diagram, sometimes a picture as well. Okay. This has to be done in 20 minutes. The given time is 20 minutes, but when you start writing it, I would expect you to do this in 15 minutes because you need
okay.
some time to check, do an audit whether you have written this right or not. Yeah, so this has to be done in 15 minutes, 150 words to be done in 15 minutes. Task two, on the other hand, is an essay. Okay. So in here,
Okay.
you are given a point of view, or what do you say in common words as opinion, right? You're given an argument. There are different kinds of it. I'm just trying to compress it. I'm just trying to explain it to you simply. So when we go into the essay types, I'll tell you how it works, right? Or a problem. So it's a problem which you need to discuss. And you have to do this in 250 words that you have to complete in 40 minutes. I would prefer you to do this in 25 minutes. That is what we will aim for, right?
Okay.
This is what we
Mm.
will aim for. Now, the marking for writing is done on four major parameters. Okay. So marking is done on four parameters. The first one is called task achievement, right? Task achievement. Task achievement means, have you actually responded to the idea that they were looking for? If you have answered the question, or if you have answered the theme that they were looking for. Hmm? The second parameter is called coherence and cohesion. and cohesion. Right? This is nothing but how you write systematically. If the paragraph is written systematically, if the words are written systematically. So that is all about coherence and cohesion. Okay. The third parameter is called lexical resource, right? Lexical resource is just a fancy word for vocabulary. So they will check you what kind of vocabulary you have, if you have good vocabulary. Now, the one way that they check this is that you do not repeat your words. So the more words you repeat over and over again, that shows the less, vocabulary you have. So that is how they check. They'll check how good vocabulary are you using in your writing. Okay. And the fourth parameter is called a GRA, or grammatical range and accuracy. Right? Grammatical range and accuracy. Now, writing this is a task. This is something that you need to practice. This is something that you need to work on. This will not come to you just because you speak good language. It will never come to you. Because when you speak to someone, okay, when you speak to me or when you speak to anybody, you speak a very local language, right? But when you read a newspaper, the language in that newspaper always looks and sounds different, feels different. So what you write in a newspaper is your academic language. What you speak on a day-to-day basis is your local, daily, day-to-day use language. In this, you need to learn to use academic language. You cannot write an essay in casual language. It has to be in a formal language, right? And you need to make sure that you adhere to the word limit. The reason why you need to adhere to the word limit is that if I ask you to write something that you are an expert on, if I don't give you a word limit, but if I ask you to write something, you can probably write 5 pages. But if I ask you to write something in whatever you are an expert in, and I ask you to adhere to a word limit of, let's say, 200 words, things become difficult. So the word limit is there to ensure that they are able to check your language proficiency, right? So you need to have the skill to some of the skill that we need to have is to learn how to organize, right? And then describe, right? And then explain. And describe or explain is the same thing, but uh, describe will be more in terms of process or procedure, and explain will be more like how something, how, why you derive an idea or what makes you think on those parameters and how things work, right? Okay. All right. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was about the writing section. So we have covered listening, speaking, writing, and the last one is we have covered listening. We covered listening,
We've
reading,
done
and writing.
listening, reading, and
Reading
speaking.
and writing. So we need to go for the last one, and that is and that would be your speaking session, right? Now your speaking session is for 15 minutes. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes actually. You need to speak for 10 to 15 minutes. What will they check you in speaking? Your marking criterion is your fluency, right? Then they will check you for fluency and coherence. You know, what is coherence? Coherence is nothing but the systematic flow, the fluidic way how you express yourself is the coherence. So you systematically explain something. If I'm asking you, what car do you drive? You will start with the brand. You will say the meaning. You will say what car it runs. When did you get? And what's the color? What's the mileage? And why do you like it? All those things. So you will not start with why do you like it? Then what's the color? Then jump back on what is the brand, and then jump to what is the how do we get that? So not that. When you systematically learn to say it as a story, it's more like telling a story. So that is what coherence is about. Then comes your lexical resource, right? Lexical resource is again your vocabulary. How good are you with your vocabulary? Then your GRA, that is grammatical range and accuracy. We spoke about this. How good is your grammar? How good is your tenses? How good is your grammatical aspects? And all. And the last one is pronunciation. Okay, the last one is pronunciation. These are the marking criteria. Now, what happens in a speaking interview? There are 3 steps to it. Okay, the first step, 1, is your introduction. This is an icebreaker. You are not judged on this. They do not judge. They do not mark you on this, right? It's just that examiner will introduce himself. Then he will ask you a generic question about some topic. So that's about it. You're usually not judged. You're usually not marked about it. But then there is a small glitch in here because sometimes, the examiner will not mark you till the time you introduce yourself or he introduces himself. He tells about himself that this is what I do. Then he will ask you, where are you from? What is that you do? Probably till that time, he will not, grade you for any conversation, but he can move on to the next part wherein he will start grading you for whatever you speak. And this will go for about 4 minutes, usually 4 minutes, not more than that. And these guys, these examiners are very well trained. They know how to manage time. So it might sometimes, you might feel that, oh, that was very less, or that's very long. But trust me, this is maintained at 4 minutes at all time, right? The step 2 is called the long term. It is called the long term in speaking, right? In this, the examiner will give you a pass card. He will give you a speaking pass card with a particular topic on it, right? And then the card tells you what points you have to talk about, right? What things you have to talk about. You have exactly 1 minute to prepare yourself to talk, and then the examiner will give you a pencil and a paper. But I do not recommend students to use pencil and paper because the amount of time you spend in writing is too much compared to what you can mentally prepare yourself. So in our process of training, we will go through this where we'll learn to mentally prepare yourself, mentally, place points at the right place, and then understand how to speak with that. Right. Uh, you will have to structure the entire talk in your mind in that 1 minute, and you will have to speak for 2 minutes. Right. This is what you have to do. Two minutes, sometimes 2 to 4 minutes. Take 2 to 4 minutes. Right. Let's take 2 to 4 minutes. And then comes the step three. Okay. Step three is called the discussion. This is basically a little bit more further going into the point that we are talking about, more like an abstract conversation, right? More like into a greater depth of conversation that you go in with this. And this, he will analyze your ability to analyze things, your ability to form opinions, right? Your ability to speculate things. So basically, this is about opinion, and you will ask you about your skill to discuss and speculate. All right. So this is all about your speaking test. So we have 4 different tests, 4 different parts of it: your listening, your reading, your writing, and your speaking. Okay. Do you have
Okay.
any questions?
No.
All good?
Yep. All good.
Now, when we start preparing for an IELTS test, we usually start with writing because it takes longer time for us to prepare for writing sessions. So we start with the writing session. All right. To start with an IELTS writing session. Now, when we talk about IELTS writing, we will get into a little deeper into the kind of essays that we have. Okay, the kind of essays that we will have. The first, because we'll start with task two. Task two is a little bit more complicated, or I would say thought provoking. Okay. So I was talking to you about writing. So writing is something that requires more effort to understand. It sounds easy, but it is not easy. I wouldn't classify this as easy. I would rather classify this as, you know, more demanding in nature. So in writing, the first essay that you have, and one of the most common essay that you get in IELTS, is called an opinion essay. Right? So you have this as, this is agree, disagree. Right? That is the first essay you have. Then you have something called an advantage, disadvantage essay. Advantage, disadvantage essay. Advantage, disadvantage has 2 sub-essays that come with it: advantage, disadvantage, and your opinion, right? And advantage, disadvantage, and which outweighs. Okay. So you have an opinion essay in which you have opinion agree, disagree. Then we have an advantage essay, which you have advantage, disadvantage, and your opinion, and advantage, disadvantage, and which outweighs. Then we have something called a problem solution essay. Okay, there's something called a problem solution essay. And after problem solution essay, you have called a discussion essay. Okay. After discussion essay, you have something called a two-part essay. All right.
Okay.
I've got a two-part essay. Now, I do know that some of those things, something closer to this, you have in your academic writing in your syllabus as well. So this is not going to be the same. Uh, Topic-wise, it might sound similar, but there is a lot of difference between what you write for your academic syllabus and what you write for your IELTS writing. Okay? There's a lot of
What?
difference. Sorry, you were saying something?
I know.
Sorry?
No, I was just saying I understood.
Right. So there will be a difference between them. These are more sophisticated essays. These are not, I wouldn't say these are very difficult, but these are sophisticated. Now, one of the things that you need to realize is that IELTS essay or IELTS writing has got a very strict parameter of checking, right? Uh, some of the things that they will check for you in your writing, the few parameters that they're very specific and they're very strict about in checking is, apart from what I said first, is task achievement. I would say marking parameters, right? So in marking parameters, the first thing that they have is task achievement, right? Okay. Then you have CC, that is coherence and cohesiveness. Then you have lexical resource, let's talk about this. Then you have GRA, that is grammatical range and accuracy. Apart from this, they have few parameters, that is, one is underlength, right? Your essay should not be underlined. If it is underlined, they will penalize you. The next one is off topic, right? You should not deviate from what they are asking you. If you do, you will be penalized. Then you have memorized essay, right? A lot of students actually memorize a format and then they go and tweak it a little bit, they change it according to their requirement and they write it. But IELTS trainers, the examiners and trainers at IELTS, they're actually trained to identify this. And if they do, they will mark you down, they will penalize you. And the last one is illegible. So when they cannot read your writing, if your writing is very bad, if they cannot read it, you will be penalized in this. So these were the parameters and these were the criteria on which your IELTS examination goes and how it is marked. These are the few things that you need to keep in mind if you want to do good in your test. I wouldn't say that it is very difficult, but then yes, it requires you to do some hard work. It requires you to be prepared for this test. It requires you to be systematic in this. Now, it is not about hard work. Hard work doesn't get you through this. It is about discipline, how you maintain that discipline, how you try and do this every day, how you maintain that discipline in learning, how you maintain
Got
that discipline and practice that will get you through. It has nothing to do with hard work. Everybody does hard work, trust me. Anyone who's trying to write an IELTS essay has dreams and ambitions. He or she knows what he or she wants in their life, and they're doing the hard work. But it is not only about hard work that defines or that gets you through IELTS. It is also about discipline, how disciplined you are with your preparation, with your day-to-day class. Speaking of discipline, I have a few rules which I follow very strictly in my training. So I I really expect you to adhere to them. The first one is that I take your classes on alternate days of the week. I will give you assignments, right? You have to complete these assignments for the next class. So I'll give you assignments today. Tomorrow, you will not have the class. Day after tomorrow, you will have class. And when you come to my class, before you come to my class, your assignment should come to my inbox. I'm very particular about that because if you don't do that, I lose the track of going further in sessions. So you need to ensure that your assignments are done. If your assignments are not done, I will not take the next class, right? And if it repeats, I will count the class. So please make sure that work that is being given to you is completed. That is first thing. Second thing is that you need to learn to write. I do understand that kids of your age are more into typing, but this one you need to learn to write. Your brain has to connect to your muscle memory in your hands. So you need to write. There is no shortcuts. You need to write. If I'm telling you to write something, you have to write. Okay. And the third the rule that I have is please do not break the session. I'm very particular with timings. I will log in at exactly the time that is promised to you, and I log off in exactly the time that is done for the 1 hour. And I expect the same from you. Please do not miss your sessions. In case you are missing for some unforeseen circumstances, I understand you will have. Please do keep me informed. That's about it,
yeah.
and that is all. Uh, if you if you do the thing that I am asking you to do, I can assure you that I will ensure that you clear this test with flying colors or with whatever band that you're looking for. Okay. So
Yeah.
this was an introduction. This was an introduction to your sessions, to your academic classes in the coming days. Uh, the next session, we will start with IELTS writing. So I would want you to have a notebook. I will send you some essays. We will start with something called paraphrasing, understanding what an IELTS essay topic is and how does it come and how do we decipher it and how do we understand what is being asked out of it and then try to paraphrase it in our own language, in our own sentence, and in our own
Mm.
word without ruining the essence of what they are trying to do. Okay, paraphrasing usually takes about a week to perfect, and I insist that you perfect paraphrasing because your entire writing depends on what you paraphrase and how you paraphrase. Consider paraphrasing like the foundation of a very tall building. The paraphrasing has to be perfect because if you are not good with paraphrasing or if you do not perfect paraphrasing, you will make mistakes. You will make
Got
mistakes,
it.
right? So, and if you make mistakes in paraphrasing, your entire effort in writing essay will go. So we need to ensure that paraphrasing is strict. One more thing that I would like to add in this is that these questions are not designed for you to understand them in one go. Uh, no matter
Okay.
how good you are with English. I've been training for 17 years now, and I still at times, you know, fail to understand the questions when I'm very casual about it. So when I casually just read the question and I say, "Oh, okay, I got it." But after a couple of moments, or when I start writing, or when I start explaining this to the students, I realize that I haven't actually understood it. So these topics, these essay topics, are not designed to be understood in one go. They're designed to confuse you. They're designed to give you a different perspective about it, and it takes some skill and time and practice to understand the underlying meaning for it. So do not rush through this. Okay, that is one humble
Okay.
request I have. So thank you very much, and I really hope that you understood these topics. If you have any
Yes.
questions, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
Okay. I don't have a question. It's just that the last class I was
Mhm,
listening and I remember you gave the assignment. I
mhm.
have done it. I also shared it on the group. If you
Uh-huh.
could review and send me the
Okay.
feedback, I'll,
We'll
yeah.
do that in the next session. We'll do that in the next
Okay.
session. Yeah. Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
it's you
I did.
wrote that. Okay. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. I wrote it actually.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. So that's about it. I have taken your session in a little detail because you do not have a prior experience writing an IELTS test. Since you are taking it for the first time, I'm giving you a rather broader picture of the spectrum. It was nice taking a session. We will meet day after tomorrow, I think, is the next session. So we'll meet then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye.